Hello. Welcome to Daily Drive Coaching and our first Becoming Unlimited community support group. This is something that I'm hoping to evolve into a weekly, every other weekly, monthly, whatever comes up type thing. But when I first started to discover my anxiety diagnosis, I thought that I had nowhere to turn to for that. And I would have loved to have an atmosphere like this. So I created somewhere to have that. So I have my best friend Ashley here who is going to share a little bit with us. And we are just hanging out for a little bit. So say hey when y'all get on. There's 2 people on. Say hey when y'all get on and let me know if you're watching. My friend Zach is here too, but he's over there.
Say hi,
Who
Zach.
is that? Oh,
Hi,
my
Zach.
mother-in-law. Hi, Kathy. So, welcome. I'm so glad that you were here. I'm going to get into my anxiety story a little bit in a couple minutes, but I'm going to let Ashley go first. And Ashley is like my favorite example of the universe giving you what you need when you allow it to, when you tune yourself into it, because Ashley and I met on Facebook. And she is like the best friend that I've had my whole life now. And so I'm going to let Ashley share her anxiety story, how she discovered anxiety, what she has going on in her life, what you do to maybe stay in control of your anxiety a little bit, and just give you a little bit of insight into other people's anxiety story. And then I will give you mine a little bit. So I'm going to look at these comments while Ashley gives you her story.
Yeah, you
Thank
guys.
you, Ashley.
So, hi. If you do not know me, my name is Ashley Van Valkenburg. I've been friends with about 5 years almost now, and we met through social media, and it was really funny because I'm actually a licensed massage therapist by trade, and I've been a licensed massage therapist for almost a decade. And Sarah just reached out to me one day and was like, so I've been looking at your page, and how can massage help anxiety? And I got really excited because massage is a great tool for not just anxiety, but a lot of physical, mental, and emotional problems. And that's kind of how we got connected and we became best friends. And one of the reasons that I truly connect with Sarah so much is because our anxiety is very similar, and yet the environment that we grew up in is completely different. 100%. I grew up in a very abusive household. I had a very bad, difficult childhood that was full of drugs and abuse. And so my anxiety stemmed from not getting the need and the love that I needed as a child. And so I started to seek that love elsewhere and got into drugs, got into really bad relationships. And it wasn't until I had my daughter that I learned that your mind truly creates everything for yourself, including your anxiety. And it's your thoughts and how you feel and think that creates the life around you. And that's really how I learned how to take control of my anxiety and depression and was able to really come out on the other side and be a positive influence for other people. And then when I met Sarah, who struggles the same exact way I do with anxiety, and she came from a completely different background, it just opened my eyes to, it doesn't matter the circumstances in which you come from, but how you choose to take control of your life in that moment going forward. And so really that's how I became a mindset coach and a life coach, and started finding tools in mindfulness and gratitude and affirmations to really help make my life a more positive, abundant place as due to physical health problems. I can't take medication like most people do for mental health. So I have to utilize non-medication tools to keep control of my anxiety at all times. And that's really ultimately how I came to be who I am now and how I got connected with Sarah. So yeah.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
okay,
of course.
Cool.
Yeah, questions are all part of it.
Because you mentioned that our anxiety is similar and we work through similar things, but our childhood and upbringing was a little bit different. Can you tell them about your childhood, whatever you feel like sharing, whatever you want to share?
Of course. So my father was actually not around. He was in prison until I was a teenager. My mother, who has mental and physical health problems herself, was a drug addict and an alcoholic. And so, most kids spend their life going to neighbors' houses and playing and then coming home and going to sleep and going to school, where most of the time our nights were spent at parties with a bunch of drunk people and being beat on, or sexually or emotionally abused. And that went on literally up until about middle school, when my father came home. But then my sister was taken out of the picture, and that's when my mental health really started to develop, because I lost my support and like my comfort that was essentially helping me get through and just exist. And, you know, then of course, like most people, my family, my parents actually got divorced and separated, and that was actually healthy for me. Them staying together as long as they did was actually harmful. And then I essentially had to end up cutting ties with a lot of my family because they're not good people. And I decided that I wanted to create the life I wanted. And to do that, I had to surround myself with the things that were going to uplift me and not weigh me down. So
I love it. I love that that people can work through things in a different way, even though they have different backgrounds, because that's why I asked you this, because my like anxiety story is a little bit different to getting me to the point of today, but we are like on, I feel like, the same growth or similar growth journey, going kind of in the same direction. But my childhood was not traumatic. I don't remember a lot of big traumatic experiences from my childhood. We're meeting in the church that my mom works in right now, that she's worked at for 16 years, she told us on the way up here, and my parents are still together. My brother and my sister, like we literally all live within like 10 minutes of each other, and I don't remember traumatic experiences from my childhood. And so the things that created my anxiety, or that, you know, allowed my anxiety to like come to surface, because looking back on it now, I always had anxiety. I just didn't know how to manage it or take care of it appropriately. And so the things that manifested my anxiety are a little bit different. And so I didn't really understand anything about anxiety or even mental health. When I was younger, our health class was like, sorry, Zach, was like how to put on a pad when you're younger, you know what I mean? And I'm sure for guys it was like whatever the guy equivalent to that is, like
how to put on pads,
how to pee or whatever, I don't know. But like that was the extent of our health, you know. It wasn't mental health included in that. And so I didn't know that like anxiety was even a thing. And I started smoking cigarettes when I was real young. I was in like 5th grade. Sorry, Mom, she caught me a few times when I was younger, but like it was like 1995 when I started smoking. And I was real young. And so I quit smoking in 2010. And I don't know, math, whatever. You're the teacher. What's like 1995 to 2010? Like that's a long time of smoking. And that's like the younger part of your body when you're developing. It was 15 years. Okay, cool. It was like 15 years that I smoked. And when I quit smoking, literally, like all of these things started to come up. And like I was having back pain. I was constantly like uncomfortable. I couldn't sleep. And, you know, and this is in 2010 when I'm already, you know, an adult. I was engaged at that time and living with my fiance at that time. And so I'm already an adult having to deal with this. And so I actually went to the emergency room because I was just in so much back pain one day. I couldn't breathe. I really thought I was having a heart attack because I just like couldn't get a deep breath. And so we went to the emergency room, which is not a good idea when you're not in control of your anxiety, because they tried to put an IV in my hand and I ripped that jank right out. And I was like, no, you don't. But they told me you need to see a regular doctor, like not regular, what is it? Like your primary care doctor, whatever.
To find like a therapist.
Yeah, you need to see like an ongoing doctor, not an emergency room situation. So I went to a doctor who was our family doctor at the time, and he told me that when I quit smoking, it just, you know, uncovered all of these things, because when I smoked, I related that to everything. Like if something was exciting, woohoo, let's go smoke a cigarette. If something was emotional, oh, I need a cigarette. If it's like a stressful day at work, I need to go smoke a cigarette. And so like it covered everything up. And so that doctor told me that quitting smoking uncovered all of the anxiety that I had been, you know, covering it up with. And he gave me a bag of sample medications, the little like, you know, week packs or whatever that you get of sample medications, all different kinds, all different doses. He just gave me a bag and said, take these home and figure out which one works best for your body. And I was like, WTF? Like that's, like that's not how you do things. So I left that doctor and found another primary care doctor that has doctors in their field that specialize in anxiety, and they recommended that I see a therapist, and I got my medication straight and all of that. And in, I don't know, like 2019 maybe, it just really started on like a learning journey, more so, of just like learning about anxiety and realizing the things that I have been told about mental health that aren't correct, more importantly. And so that's why I just created this like becoming unlimited atmosphere, because I am unlimiting my thoughts, and hopefully I can help other people unlimit their thoughts. And I'm learning that there are thoughts that are limiting beliefs that I'm not even realizing are limiting beliefs. And so my childhood was not traumatic, and the worst that happened was like I burned my hand really bad when I was younger.
But I think
and
that goes to show you like how anybody can have anxiety.
Right.
Like, anybody in any circumstances can develop anxiety.
Right, and it can come from all different kinds of things, because your anxiety comes from things related to your childhood and abuse and things that you've been through. The anxiety for me kind of comes from like not knowing, but also comes from like internalizing everything, because like my whole life, pretty much everything that I felt, like if someone didn't like me, if I didn't get a good enough grade on something, it was like, I'm not good enough, right?
Yes.
So like I just internalized everything. And so for me, it's more so learning how to not internalize
If y'all can relate to
everything.
that, drop a one.
Yes.
I feel like I need to throw up a million ones. Like,
put a one in the chat if you internalize life. And let me know if y'all have questions while we're going through this. If you have questions for Ashley, if you have questions for me, like we're going to answer, I want to give you anxiety help while we're here and have an atmosphere of openness. But yeah, if you relate to that, drop a one in the chat, because I still do it, even being
I'll catch
on a
myself
growth
doing it,
journey.
and I'll be like, wait,
Right.
don't do that.
Right. And so that's why like I just thought of the Becoming Unlimited journey to just work on unlimiting those thought processes and unlimiting those things that we often don't even realize are limiting beliefs. So that's kind of like the purpose of this, my anxiety story. Do you have anything else that you want to share related to your
I
anxiety
have a question
story?
and I want to ask you. So when you stopped smoking, was it hard for you? Like really hard for you?
That's a really, really good question, actually, because a lot of people that smoke have asked me this before. So I quit smoking in 2010. I started smoking when I was in 5th grade. I remember vividly. Mm-hmm. My mom knows this, and she knows who I smoked with, and, we're not friends anymore. But I remember vividly starting smoking when I was in 5th grade, because that's what all the people did that I was hanging out with. My best friend at the time was like 2 or 3 years older than me, and so all of her friends were older than her. So it was like, I need a pack of cigarettes. Okay, here you go. So like, when over the course of like my early adulthood, I tried to quit smoking a lot of times. I worked in restaurants and I couldn't quit smoking. I worked in restaurants where it's like,
everybody smokes.
Everybody smokes. Like the people that I was around smoked. I just never could. I started working in an office, and I just kind of used that as time to like, it was, I had to like go up the elevator to get to the office, and if I wanted to go smoke, I had to take a break and go all the way back down. And so I like used that as motivation to like not want to smoke, because I really don't feel like doing all of that, right? So in 2010, I just got to the point, it was actually the person that I was engaged to was an alcoholic, and we were going through all kinds of stuff, and I just kind of decided that I was ready to stop drinking, stop taking all of the pills, and stop smoking, so that I could be 100% me in order to be there for my fiance at the time. Looking back on it, really it was in order to be there for me, to get myself in check. But, the season of life, it was so that I could be there for this person that was an alcoholic. So I quit smoking, and for some reason, I don't know why, for some reason in 2010, I like took a pack of cigarettes and threw them away and like didn't want one ever again.
So that's why I wanted to ask you. Because,
but I had tried so many times before.
So I also started smoking cigarettes because of anxiety.
Right.
And learning how to manage the anxiety and the stress. So whenever something in life happened that stressed me out or made me anxious, go smoke.
Right.
I tried to quit for the longest time, and I couldn't. And I didn't know why, because I was like, I just picked it up. Like, it was nothing, so why can't I drop it? Like, it's nothing. It wasn't until I got control of my mind that I was just able to drop it, throw it away, and not ever look back. And people are like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just made the mental decision.
Well, because there's also a purpose behind it.
Yep.
Because at that point in my life, quitting smoking, the purpose of that was to be in support of the person that I was with. Mm-hmm. So there's also a higher purpose behind it. But it was like I threw a pack of cigarettes away, and that was it.
And that's why I wanted to.
Now in 2021, will I smoke a cigarette sometimes? Yes.
See,
and do I still want it when I smell it? Yes.
So now I'm the opposite. Where before I would have wanted to, now if I
evolving
smell
into
it,
smoking conversation.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I
love it.
It's because cigarettes are like an addiction. Nicotine is an addiction, and a lot of people become addicted, but because they're addicted to the chemical, not the feeling that they get. And that's why I wanted to know, because your anxiety makes you need that, but once you have control of your anxiety, it's just easy to let it go because you don't need it anymore. Yeah. And I feel like that's the one thing that people don't contribute to trying to achieve anything, is that if you just make the mental decision and you just keep sticking with it, you will eventually come out on the other side of it.
Yeah. It's so true, and a lie believed as true affects your brain and your body like it's true. So if someone is telling you something that you know is a lie, but you're still allowing yourself to believe it, your body and brain are responding to it like it's true. So when you flip that lie, when you become aware of your thoughts and redirect them to the right direction, when I want a cigarette now, and I'm aware of that, and I'm in a state of mind where I can stop and recognize someone around me is smoking and I can smell it and I really, really want one, I can redirect that. When I'm in a state of mind where I'm like not really caring about being in control of my mind, or like, you know, I'm stressed or whatever, and I smell it, it's like I'm gonna go get a cigarette.
So the difference is now you don't have that guilt complex after.
Right.
And I feel like that's the huge part of just overcoming and accepting yourself in life, is like, it's okay to make choices that aren't good for you as long as you're not stepping out of moderation. But then if you're still beating yourself up for the decision afterwards, then you're not really making progress, because you shouldn't be beating yourself up for it.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, I love you so much. Oh, somebody said something. Who is this? Okay, Angel. I love you, Angel. Thank you for being here. We went to middle school and high school.
Thank you guys for being on. It was so nice of you guys to join in.
Yeah, she wanted to come in person, but she's at work. So thank you for still being here. But she smokes because of anxiousness and having to do something with her hands, which I get too, because I am so fidgety. It's really funny because I posted yesterday, like, what's the strangest thing that's in your purse or backpack? And someone said fidgets. But they work with kids, and so I was like, is it for you or is it for the kids? And they were like, both. And I was like, okay, I get that, because like I fidget with everything too.
Do I have piercings?
Do you have
piercings?
Do you have tips for needing to fidget?
Needing to fidget. Why do you need to fidget? You can never really move past something until you know why you need to do it. Why is it that you need to be doing something with your hands? Why is it that you need to be busy? Why is it that not being busy makes you anxious? And when you can figure that out, then you can talk your brain out of it, because it's like, well, I have to do this, and this later. Okay, but now in this moment, is that going to benefit us? Is that going to help us? And the thing is people get frustrated because they need that quick fix and anxiety, but nothing in life is a quick fix. You have to practice and practice to make progress. There's never perfection, right? Yeah. So if you need something in your hands and you don't have anything that you can play with, jewelry is my go-to. Like I mentioned with my piercings, I will chew the inside of my mouth raw, literally. I used to have bleeding cheeks and tongue because my anxiety would just make me want to chew and make me want to chew.
I laugh because I'm the same way.
When I got my piercings, now when I start getting stressed out, I'll catch my tongue or my teeth playing with my rings instead of chewing the inside of my mouth. As a massage therapist, I can't wear bracelets or rings anymore, and that was my go-to, was just to sit here on my wrist, so I would wear a necklace, so I could reach up and fidget, but it's not one of those things that's going to make noise and distract other people, like tapping a pencil, and I'm kind of reconnecting with myself when I do that, to remind myself that I'm in a safe place, that I'm okay, that my anxiety is okay, and I don't need to be overwhelmed. But really, it's just practice makes progress, and not being hard on yourself when you don't do it right the first time.
Yes, really. I totally agree, because I fidget all day long, and my mom used to like grab my leg because I would just be like shaking my leg.
Like this,
But when, like you said, when I start to think about like why I'm sitting here shaking my leg, it's because I'm in the back of my mind thinking about something else, or, you know,
You're not
something
being
else
present.
going on or whatever, right? I'm not being mindful and present. So I always try to also remind myself to be mindful of the current moment that I'm in. Because when you're mindful of right now, you can take control of right now.
Because that's all we have.
And not worry, right, about whenever, because, you know, there's no answers for anything. There's just life and letting the universe bring to you what you...
I will add that we live in a society that makes it hard, because our society is go, 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 do. You have to pay bills, you have to work, you have all the appointments, and we're not ever taught that we should slow down and give ourselves the time. And then when we do, we get blamed for it, so then we naturally blame ourselves. But that's actually counterproductive. Like, you just have to keep trying and love yourself while you try.
Yeah. One of the best things that I ever did or started to do for like myself, my schedule, my mindset, is just getting intentional with what I'm doing. Because when you're intentional with your time and you're crossing the things off that you want to do, then you don't have those things looming over you. And I do that to the extent that I can then take an entire day off on Sunday and have a Sabbath day and rest and not spend as much time on social media or on my phone or doing whatever. I can spend time with my family, with my husband, and reconnect. So when you're intentional with your time as well, and you're intentional with where your focus is, you can redirect that. And when you feel the urge to fidget or to even smoke or whatever, you can take control of that and do something that intentionally pushes you further rather than go smoke.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So I hope that makes sense. And yeah, she said the same thing about drinking too. Hey Kimmy, I see you. Hey sweet Kimmy, I love you. And yeah, drinking the same way. If you intentionally focus your time, I should have brought my little daily drive printout over here, but I did bring it over here. If you're intentional with your time, your goals, your energy, then you can focus everything. And that's why, thank you. That's why your intentional thought is the first part of the daily drive, because it's so important for pushing you through the day. Because when you remind yourself what your focus and where your energy needs to go, you can take control of that.
Yeah.
But you have to be aware of your thoughts.
You mentioned intentional thought, it reminded me. So on the days that I'm struggling and I'm really pushing like intentional thought and how I'm wasting my time, I waste my time by sitting there just stressing about the unknown. And then I'll sit there and start to get overwhelmed, and it's like, I need to go do all these things, and it's like, but you have to do all these things, and you got to do all these things, and I'll actually just sit there
and talk yourself out of it.
And waste the time that I'm getting anxious about, so I'm putting myself in that anxiety, and I'm not even aware of it. And so by being intentional, I taught myself that I was doing that I was my own anxiety, and that sometimes you just have to get out of your own way.
Yeah, learning the power of intentional thinking really helped me like grab control of my anxiety and stay in control of it. So I think that when you know what your purpose is, when you do the work to discover what your purpose in life is, and it's not easy work. It's not easy work to discover what your purpose in life is, but when you know what that purpose is, you can do those intentional steps to take control of your life and redirect your mind. So when you're feeling those other urges, the anxious thoughts, the other things coming up, make sure that you have a focus with intentionality behind it so that you can move in that direction instead of whatever it is that's, bringing you the other way. And so that's why I'm going to wrap it up a little bit. Do you want to say anything? Nope. Zach's like, I'll just sit over here and be cool. But that's why I wanted to get together in person, and I wanted to bring this to y'all live because I know a lot of you couldn't be here but still wanted to. This is something, like I said, that I hope will evolve into at least a monthly thing for now, and we will do this part live. But if you want to come in person and be with us, we won't always be talking live about your anxiety story and your personal things. Ashley and I are comfortable with sharing the things that we have been through, and so that's why I asked her.
Keep in mind, 5 years ago, you would have never gotten me on camera saying any of that anywhere to anybody.
Yeah, 2 years ago for me, God, I told them the other day, I was like, I double dog dare you to go all the way back to the first daily drive I did, and look at me. look at what I talked about, but don't really do it because that's embarrassing. So anyway, thank you all for being on here live. I hope that this evolves into something bigger, but I want you to know that this is a safe space and you don't have to feel like you have to come and say anything. You can just come and hang out with us. I have activities to do when we have a big group here, and so next time you see this, I hope that you can come in person. I'm super grateful for those of you that are here. I'm going to hopefully find somewhere to do some evening times, but the biggest thing that I wanted you to know, to be aware of, to take away from this is that your mental health journey, your anxiety journey should be a priority in your life just as your regular health is. And if you need somewhere to explore that, somewhere to be, I have safe community, safe space. Ashley has communities and things that she does as well. If you need a massage, hit her up. But this is a safe space. So if you come in person, you don't have to feel obligated to like be live to share things. You can just come and hear and
Zach's a perfect example.
Listen to us
Here
talk. I'm gonna have to take a picture of you so that they know that like there was
You're
actually a
literally
person
here.
There's his head. But like, I appreciate y'all being here to watch and to learn. If you have questions, keep dropping them in the chat. I'll come back and check. And if you have questions for Ashley, I'll let her know and we can get them answered. But thank you for watching, and just remember that you don't have to go through your anxiety and mental health journey alone. You have a community of support with me, with Becoming Unlimited, with Ashley and everything that she has going on and everything she does. And you always have a safe place here, so don't feel like you can't show up as who you are. If you don't want to share live, you don't have to. It's all good. If other people were here, I would cut this part off so that we could have a group without being live. So that's how this would go through. So next time you see it, I hope you can come and be here live with us. But keep dropping your questions and let me know, and keep fighting your own mental health journey. There's no end to personal growth.
It's a lifelong,
There's no end journey.
lifelong.
It's just a journey that you're on that you get to learn and grow through. So thank y'all for being live with us. Thank you to Ashley for being here. Thanks to Zach for lurking over here in the corner. I will see y'all soon.